Yo, what is up, guys? I'm sure you guys already know about the drama that's happening between Korea and Global for Epic 7 and Smilegate, and today I'm going to try to summarize it up for you guys and kind of just give my opinion on what's happening because I have been watching from afar. I did read through the Korean transcript as well, and I actually, drove past the Smilegate building and I kind of saw what was happening a little bit, like once. Not even intentionally. I actually like went somewhere nearby. It was kind of funny actually, and yeah, so for me, I read both the Korean transcript and then I also read through the English one, obviously, and I'm just going to kind of summarize what's happening. Basically, there's a lot of drama between the players and the company. People are saying the company's being really greedy, they don't know how to balance the game and stuff like that. And basically, yeah, he's just summarizing what happened. And now, the first thing that's a huge topic is balance, right? So people are talking about like Conquer Lilius, Hwa Young, and people are saying that for the first question, right, as you can see on your screen, that the balance or the best units in the meta are always going to be the new units, and also they're going to be like the top ranked heroes. And what he means by that is like ML5 stars or like ML4 stars, which are significantly harder to get. And they say, yeah, we realized that AOL was really OP, so basically due to her, we're trying to drop her power levels, and we are also, looking at the data and seeing that, the OP units that people think aren't as OP as we think it is, because they have all the numbers, right? So that's what they're saying. And basically what was asked after that is, why did you guys make AOL or Angel of Light Angelica so OP? Or like what was the cause of it, right? And they're just like, yeah, we just recognize that her ban and pick ratio was way too high. Her win rate was super high, and because of that, they're releasing counters to try to balance her. Especially because the Epic 7 World Championship is coming up, and they think that by the time it happens that it will be very balanced, right? And to be honest, the last Epic 7 World Championship, I'd say the meta was pretty good. So, I actually believe in Smilegate to actually make the changes, because not only is the World Championship gonna be money that they have to spend to actually make a prize pool, but also like, yeah, they're going to be promoting the game a lot during that time, so they have to make sure the meta is like not terrible, so people actually watch, right, and people don't quit. Now, people are asking also, especially with Hwa being released, right, that units are getting inflated. And what they mean by that is just like power creep, basically. And they're basically saying like they're scared that after more units get released, units are just gonna get super strong, and the only way you can really stop that is by releasing more counters and then more counters, right? And like, since Epic 7 or Smilegate doesn't want to nerf units, that it'll be really hard to balance, right? And yeah, I think it's a very, very hot topic, right? Like, should Smilegate be nerfing units, or should they only be buffing? But they're saying like, when you nerf units, right, you have to take into account that the unit won't be used anymore. But with buffs, if you just keep buffing units, that will never happen. Like, units will always get used. And yeah, that has some truth to it, but nerfs like will also make other units like usable, right? So say we nerf like, I don't know, like a really strong ice unit, or like let's say we nerfed like Hwa right now, right? Who would come back in the meta, right? Bellion's back in the meta instantly, right? But since Hwa so strong, you actually don't see any Bellions on like arena defense teams, right? I think that's the point the person that was asking was trying to make. Smiley kind of dodged the question, right? And honestly, it was a pretty crappy answer in my opinion. And basically, another question's asked is like, do you really think you can like balance the game only with buffs? And they're like, we can. They think they can balance it like it was last year, which was honestly a pretty balanced state. And I personally don't agree with that. I think just by buffing units, you will never reach like true balance, right? Like, there'll always be OP units, like OP units, not just like strong units, but there'll always be OP units without like nerfs being in the game. And I understand why they don't want to nerf, because people get mad. But like, if we're just talking strictly about balance, without nerfing, you're just gonna have to keep power creeping units. There's like no other way around it. And they're saying like, by continuously releasing units that are power creeping the meta, and then we buff the weaker units as well, that everything will be balanced. But at that point, we're gonna have like super overloaded kits, which I guess is okay if they want to raise the power level of everyone. But they're not even doing balance patches frequently enough for me to say like this is a good idea, right? So yeah. So basically they keep talking about like the power creeps, right? And they're saying like, yeah, we're not gonna have like 7-star heroes or super awakenings, right? To make it so that late game players can actually, not have to worry about that. And yeah, they're also talking about like OP units, right? And they're like, a lot of units that got weaker, right? So like LQC, Dark Corvus, Remnant Violet, just because Hwayoung got released, they got power crept, right? So we keep talking about power crept or power creeping, and yeah, they just really keep saying, yeah, I don't want to power creep. Smilegate does not want, or not, I don't want to nerf units. Smilegate does not want to nerf units, guys. They just want to actually just buff everything, which is a lot easier to say than do, because if you buff a unit, you're technically nerfing another unit, right? If you buff, let's say we buffed like, what's a good unit? What's a good like example? So let's say we buffed like LQC, right? Then you'll see, like, let's say we just buffed LQC's like S3 damage. Then Fallen Cecilia is going to be a lot worse. In fact, she might be like almost unplayable because LQC would legit like one-shot her without attack buff. That's a really bad example, but it is an example, right? So if you buff units, like, you're actually technically nerfing as well. So I'm not too sure if this is a really good idea, right? And basically, people were asking, so the reason why we're not nerfing is because, or the reason why Smilegate isn't nerfing is because of recalls, right? They don't want to do recalls, and Smilegate say no, they don't care about recalls, right? But the reason why they don't want to nerf is because basically, if they nerf a unit, then they give a selector, right? Then everyone will select one of the heroes that are OP, right? And this would have to result in more nerfs, and then it'll just be like a never-ending cycle, which I don't really understand. That's what they think will happen. I don't really think that will happen, but you know, maybe. And they're also saying that recalls will lead to a bigger gap between players getting worse and players getting like better. So what they mean is like late game players will get further ahead than newer players, right? I kind of understand what they're saying with that, but late game players already have like most ML5s, right? The ones they're missing are like the bad ones. They have all the good ones. So I don't know why that would be a thing, right? But new players, right? They feel really pressured to pull the best ML5, and that ML5 is super OP, right? And then say that they nerf that unit. Then you get a selector and you could choose from the next tier of OP units, right? And then those units don't get banned as much. So you can actually play them. So like everyone that has Conquer Ilias that pulled for it, that was new to the game, you can barely play her in RTA, right? Like she's good in defense arena offense, stuff like that. But in RTA, you can never play her, right? But yeah. So they just keep saying like nerfs are going to harm the users, right? They don't want to make heroes weaker and then make people think that, oh, I don't want to pull for this unit because it might get nerfed. And I think that's like the biggest thing, right? I think they're going to be like, yeah, I don't want to nerf units, because then people will stop buying bookmarks and pulling for units because they might think that this unit is too strong and that she'll get nerfed anyways, right, and stuff like that. So they think it'll probably be like bad for the game and loss of revenue, which kind of makes sense. But I personally am a fan of nerfs, right? So yeah, they just keep asking a lot of questions about Hwayoung, right, and stuff like that. And basically, they're also talking about like the scheduling for balances. They're going to say that that they're going to actually balance units even more and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely they are planning to do more buffs. They just apologize about like Angel of Light and they call it the 7 disasters, basically, like, you know, the 7 super OP ML5s with Valiant, Fallen Cecilia, Apoc Robbie, stuff like that, right? But yeah, I think like they're really scared of nerfing, so I don't think we should expect any nerfs in the future. And I think they're just gonna buff everything like crazy. So that's what I got from this, right? After reading this and the Korean version. But yeah, so now they talk about units keeping their value. So I don't know what they mean by this, but I think they mean like every unit has like an identity, right? And that's what they want to do. So also like when you invest into a hero, right? It's not like you're just investing for the meta because they're good, right? You invest in them because they can do this very well. They're very cool to play. They're fun to play and stuff like that. So what they're trying to do is they're talking about basically like investing in units. And what I think by that is like Molagora, right? So right now, the current state of the game, you need so much Molagora to fully invest in your heroes. Like runes, yes, very annoying. Catalyst, annoying, but you can farm them. But Molagoras are like super annoying to farm, right? You can't even farm them. You just have to wait. Some units, like I sit on my bench because I can't Mola them. Like my Politis, for example. I want to run her on a DPS cleave build, right? She's even better on that build than like the tanky effectiveness build, but I can't because I don't have the Mola to invest in her. And even if I did, I wouldn't, because my Politis is technically still usable as like a low Mola tank effectiveness build as a disruptor, right? So I just can't really see myself like putting Molagora into her because she can technically still do her job, although it's not as good as it could be. So that's why it's like really frustrating for me, and a lot of players definitely feel that, right? Especially if you're new to the game, you're running out of Mola. You're never going to be able to Mola everything in the game. That's just a fact. And Smilegate decided to add like the friendship Mola, right? And yeah, I think that they are going to plan to give more Molagoras in the future because everyone's complaining, right? And then people are saying like, what's it called? That's hard to just fully invest into a unit, right? So it's you just end up like benching units because you just can't invest in them. So yeah, now they're talking about communication. Honestly, like just talking about the values thing again, like they kind of like dodged it, right? They're trying to say like they're trying to add a way into the game to test units without spending your mola, but they can't say how. Like I don't know if it's like a PTR, like a beta realm or something like that. But they didn't really explicitly say, "Oh, we'll give you more Mulagora." Basically, they're trying to say, what's it called? Um, that they're gonna give us a way to test units before mulling them to see how good they are. So I think it's like a test realm or something, like a test patch realm where people can play PvP. But yeah, they didn't explicitly say they'll give us more Mulagora to use, but I kind of think they will because everyone complains about it, right? And they said that they kind of wanted to fix the system with new units coming out. And if they decide to buff everything, then you're definitely gonna need more Mulagora, right, guys? So yeah. So now they're talking about communication. Basically, man, this is like hard to talk about, but they're basically just saying that they're sorry that they're not communicating with the community. Basically about like how units are very OP, and then when people complain, they like to turn on the live stream. They just don't talk about anything at all that people are complaining about. And they just keep going on their merry way, explaining about what they plan to do. And the past few months, everyone was talking about balance, right? Balance is trash. Balance is like very bad. It's pretty shit. And they just like never talked about it. They didn't address it at all for like a few weeks, like a few months even, and that kind of caused this whole thing, right? It wasn't that like the okay one, yeah, the balance was super bad. Like let's be honest, the balance was pretty bad. Mulagora is also a very annoying topic, but like the biggest one for me is this down here. So communication, right? Basically, they're saying like they didn't do anything until they started review bombing the game, which is true. Until the Koreans started review bombing the game, and like everyone on the global side, right? Like, oh, that was like so unnecessary. But keep in mind that like, so in Korean culture, if the like companies do this, like you get literally canceled. So like this is nothing new. Like review bombing something like nothing new. I think that was okay, but like going on YouTube and like spamming was a little over the top in my opinion. But yeah, basically like Smilegate was not listening to the community for like a few months about balance, which was a huge issue. Like the balance was so bad for like the longest time, and it's never really been this bad. And now like they're saying, oh sorry. So however you look at this, like some people still get mad looking at this response and it's like, oh sorry, but like honestly, like I don't know how you can ignore some like a huge problem like that, right? So yeah, it's pretty bad. But yeah, so they're saying, you know, they want to actually have more communication with the community, which is true, and they want more viewer interaction because, like, right now, it just feels like the live streams are kind of like not fun, right? I'm just watching it. I'm just looking for patch notes, balance changes, and we're done. We're over, right? You can't ask questions. There's no Q&As. Like, could you like there should be a Q&A, right? Like, I really think that there should be like time after the stream, even before the stream, where the streamers can like read questions, right? Stuff like that. Like even if you donate to the streams, like you don't even get your like question, like what's it called, on the screen, and they don't even see it. Now I know like the community or content creators or whatever for Epic 7, the community managers do their best to answer questions, but that's like on their own time, right? There's no like scheduled time from Smilegate saying like, oh, we gotta answer questions to the community because people are mad, right? And stuff like that. So yeah, I think just having more communication with the communities is going to be so much better, obviously. And yeah, hopefully they decide to not over buff everything, and they're very smart with the buffs. That's what they probably want to do. But yeah, there's a lot more questions here. People are saying we want an apology, right? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean they said sorry a million times here. I get it. You guys are sorry. Just don't like. Sorry doesn't mean anything if you don't, take action with after. So sure, you're sorry, but let's not do this again. That's what I think, right? I'm not really mad that they did this. Actually, I was kind of frustrated, but I just hope that they don't do this again and they're more transparent, right? Because transparency is the best. Like for the collab, right? I think this all stemmed from like the ReZero collab being so late. If you guys didn't play in the summer, the collab got extended or like delayed by like a month and a half, 2 months, and everyone's saving their bookmarks. I remember during that time I had like 3,000 bookmarks. I'm like waiting for this damn collab, and everyone was so mad. Smilegate never said why. I don't know if they couldn't say because of the whatever was in the contract or because of the IP, but they should have said that they can't say because of that. People were thinking like they lost the IP, stuff like that, or like things like deals fell through. But they just like never said anything, and I think starting from that point, people were like, yeah, Smilegate's like super bad at communicating with the community. So yeah, it's hard to trust them, right? But yeah. Anyway, we keep going down. They're just asking questions about reinvestment, right? Basically, what they're trying to say is kind of like the social media side and stuff like that, and talking about like their profits and stuff like that, marketing and stuff like that. So yeah, they're also like, what's it called? Talking about ads, right, as well, that they're distributing, and like people are being like, oh, there's still rumors that like the Rise update ads are still coming out, and it's 2022. The Rise update happened literally a year ago, so they think that like the social media team's not doing that great. You're not like advertising enough, right? And they think that because of this, Smilegate is just trying to get as much money as they can right now, and they don't care too much about like what's the future of the game. Honestly, they just trying to cash grab like a lot of gacha games do. And yeah, and they're complaining about like the lore, right? The side stories suck. If you guys didn't know, Korea cares a lot about the side stories, like a lot more than global. So if the side stories suck, they get really mad, like really mad. Like when I say the side stories suck, like I'm just kind of like memeing. I'm just like, oh, it's whatever. But they get like super mad. So they're asking for more side stories, more Moonlight Hero stories as well. Because if you guys didn't know, like the Moonlight units, right? Even the limited ones live in like a new or a different like dimension universe, and with a huge like story arc, and they want more of that, which honestly would be pretty cool. But yeah, honestly, they even said that they're gonna release an anime, but they never did. So it kind of sucks. So yeah, but yeah, they're saying like, yeah, Moonlight Heroes. Why are they so expensive? So basically they're saying like it's like 800,000 won, Korean won, or about like 650 USD. And the reason why they're saying they're copy and paste heroes is because there's not a lot of like design changes. And they want like more than just copy and paste heroes, right? Because Lionheart Sermia uses the same Phoenix. There's nothing different. Solitaria has just darker shoulders, and Pirate Captain Flan's, even though she looks sick, like regular Flan looks sick too. So there's no way that Pirate Captain Flan would look like bad, right? There was just no way. But if you look at it actually closely, they're like very similar. So there's not much that's different. So yeah. Now they're talking about Ancient Inheritance. Yeah, there's basically Ancient Inheritance does have a lot of things to improve on. So that's why it was kind of like a beta test right now, and it was only limited. Honestly, I like it though. I think Ancient Inheritance is good because how can you complain about free stuff, right? The thing is, it is like a little bit harder for newer players. There's no way, if you're not in a late game guild, that you can clear it all. And I think that's kind of bad because yeah, like I think the last item was like a speed set, right? They should definitely make the last item like a late game set, like pen set, right? Something that's very good, injury set, right? Like stuff like that. And all the speed sets gear should be available early, in my opinion, because it just helps. It just makes sense, right? Early game players need speed set only. Late game players still need speed set, but like they use pen set way better than newer players do, right? And now they're talking about like the pulling system, right? So another huge issue. Moonlight 4-star pity. Huh. Why did you separate it, and why is it 110? Yeah, I don't know either, guys. It was so dumb. I said this when I first saw it. I was like, 110 for a Moonlight 4-star pity. It's 27.5% to get a 4-star ML from Galaxy, 2.5 to get an ML 5-star. So it's 10 times the chance to get an ML 4-star than ML 5-star. And it's like basically half the pulls only for pity. So that makes no sense to me. There's no way in hell it's worth to go for Moonlight 4-star pity like ever. Especially unless you're like super late game, and if the Moonlight 4-star is super OP. Like if they were gonna do that, they should have combined it, right? If they didn't want to combine it, they should have made the ML 4-star pity a lot lower, right? But since they if they didn't want to combine it, but since they decided not to combine it, like, or like make the number super high, I guess they should just combine the pities. Like I don't understand. It just makes no sense to me. So yeah, that's what they're basically talking about. They're talking about like numbers and like expenses and stuff like that. Yeah, they're like saying basically what's it called? That they wanted to separate it, right? Because that's what the majority of companies do. And the systems get complicated when you mix the two pities, which I don't understand what that means, because I don't get how that's like confusing. If you're gonna do that, cool, then can you like lower it, right? But yeah, people are also saying the release of new characters are too frequent. I agree with that. It's like every month there's one new hero, and it's kind of hard to keep up. I just can't keep up with like all the new units, right? And like when I build a unit, sometimes the next month a new unit comes out and my unit's like not good anymore, so it just feels pretty bad. So yeah, they're also talking about why don't newer heroes and epic passes reappear periodically. But they decided that they are trying to release more frequently. It used to be like 3 to 4 month cycles, but now it's 10 weeks. But yeah, they're saying that they're gonna talk about this later. Basically don't want to change anything, right? Because new units and new stuff makes the money. I think this is kind of BS though. They're trying to say like, oh, people really like the concept of 10-week cycles. They don't like old heroes being released. I think that's BS. Like, there's so many people, right? So many people. There's so many newer players, right? Always will be new players to game than late game players. Who are they waiting for on the banner? Sigurd, Tamarin, right? That's all they care about. Rwana, like people are saying, I am saving all my bookmarks for Tamarin, and like that's a good like thought process because she's so OP. Like if you think about the triple banners, like people are always asking me when it's coming out because they want Tamarin. So I think this is BS. Like everyone wants older units to come out frequently too because yeah, there's a lot of units people need to catch up with, and a lot of the old units are actually okay. And if they do plan to buff the old units to make them good, then you need to make the old units like come back, right? Yeah, it's kind of sucks, but yeah. Anyways, keep going down. Basically, they just keep talking about pulls. I mean, they talk about Specimen Says and the Angel of Light. It's not really Specimen Says. It's mostly just the Angel of Light being on that banner. But yeah, people were asking what the standard is for Mystic rotations because usually it is it's an old ML5 into a new ML5 into an old ML5 into a new ML5, and also like if there's an RTA skin coming out, the RTA skin usually comes by the last few weeks of the season, and they kind of like broke that promise that they did, or like the theme. So people got pretty mad, and they're saying that this rule or like trend is something that we made. So they're like low key blaming us that that's what we expected. So like we're to blame basically, which is kind of troll because usually trends are set by the company, right? So that you kind of expected that from the company to do the same thing. Consistency is very important, right? So people know what to expect. I don't know how you can blame us, but yeah. Yeah, they just say like, oh yeah, barriers to entry. So this is like huge. This should have been a lot bigger, but honestly, like I'm gonna say like 70% of players are in the early mid game. Maybe probably even more, to be honest, like 80 or 90. But the reason why this is so small, guys, and there should have been a lot more content or questions asked, is because the person that, like, if you think about it, the person who sweated his ass off to stand in front of the freaking building and, like, ask these questions probably is, like, a super sweaty try-hard player, so he's, like, definitely late game, so that's, like, why you don't see too much here. He doesn't care about this as much. But he's talking about, like, yeah, they need more equipment so you can actually play the game, which is true. They need more Molagora, more catalysts. I made my 3-star only account, guys, and I find it difficult to, like, promote everything. Because I have no resources. So you definitely need more resources, right? And now they're saying, like, isn't it better to split hunts into 3 levels instead of the 13? Very, very good idea. It would make hunts a lot more easier to get into because the difficulty would overall go down. And it's kind of like similar to what happened to Spirit Altar, right? So I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, now they're talking about, like, other improvements, right? Equipment conversion stones. So the reason why they're talking about this is because, like, if you've been playing longer, you have a lot more equipment conversion stones because these are technically time gated as well because you can only get a certain amount every week. And these are very important to craft right side gear because you don't have RNG in your main to that. And people were saying that there needs to be a change because, like, the gap is widening between older and newer users. And yeah, this is definitely true because, like, newer users don't have any good right gear. For me, like, I have a lot more good right side gear than newer players. And most of that is from equipment conversions. So if you're behind on equipment conversion gems, like, it's pretty bad for getting into PvP late game. And yeah, people are also saying, like, Labyrinth content needs to be simplified. Hell yeah, Labyrinth freaking sucks. It is a pain to go through. It's not fun. Who finds Labyrinth fun? Maybe like 1% of the game, like the player base. So definitely needs to be changed. Make it a lot shorter or something, or like a lot easier. Because it, like, if you're not looking at a map, like, you're gonna waste so much time. And I don't think you should be forced to look at a map. Also talking about, packs popping up on your screen. If you do a specialty change, you get that specialty change pack. Please stop that. I agree, it's pretty annoying. I don't, like, it's like how they make money though, right? So the reason why they do it is because, say you are enhancing your unit, right? You're out of Molagora. Then they have the Molagora pack pop up, right? It's like all planned, right? As you guys know. That's how they make money because they get more people to buy it. Which I kind of understand because they're a company, but pretty bad I think it's pretty bad to do because yeah, it just promotes a lot of spending, but it is a phone game, so it is what it is. I think that they're going to continuously do it no matter what. Basically they just wrap it up and then basically they're like, oh yeah, we're so sorry, we'll listen to you guys more. They talk about Smilegate and super creatives, like what's happening with the stocks and stuff like that. That's like a lot of like detailed information, basically selling shares to the parent company and stuff like that. They just apologize, they're going to be more transparent, and then there's a huge TLDR. I probably should have just read this, but there's a lot more because I read the TLDR at first, guys, and I was like, should I just like summarize this? But there's a lot more in depth stuff than this. So yeah, people are complaining about Angel of Light, right? Obviously, they want to fix balance to be a long-term goal. Their main goal, which is very clear to me as well, is they want to bring the game back to a state similar to last year's meta, which I liked. And that meta was the Crow, Carrot, Landy, made Chloe meta. That one was actually balanced because out of the units I just mentioned that were super strong and all first pick worthy, they're all like most of them are RGB units. Right now they're all ML. They're saying that they're gonna probably buff or they're gonna buff and not nerf, right? Because not because they don't want to give recalls, because as a unit gets nerfed, one unit would simply dominate the games, leading to a cycle of nerfs. I just don't think that's true, because like if you think about it on the flip side, let's say you buff a unit, then that unit will dominate the game. So you just need to not nerf one unit, you need to nerf multiple units. You also need a test realm to actually see if you nerf a unit, if it's balanced, right? You need like dedicated employees to play on the test realm. They want to fix balance globally. They just talk about basically the disparity between newer and older players. Also about hero release timings. They're going to try to schedule better and stuff like that. They don't want to power creep excessively. They don't want to add 7 stars or like super awakening, stuff like that other games do. They don't want recalls, and then they're going to be communicating well. So they say that they're acknowledging that they're slow, but I don't think it was just slow, right? They just like straight up ignored us until Korea review bombed them. So yeah, okay. They're gonna talk about basically more lore stuff, right? Try to make it more interactive so that the game doesn't really feel like a chore, where you're just like logging into your dailies and just gearing your units and that's it. Try to add more stories so your characters that you own have backstory, which is cool. Talked about 5-star and ML 5-star and ML 4-star pity. I suspect that they'll keep it separate and they'll just reduce ML 4-star pity to like 90 or 80 and just refund back like mystic medals that you spent. They're also going to talk about patterns for mystic rotations and coin rotations, but they low-key like blamed us for expecting it. They want to simplify early game experience, which is very good because yeah, a lot of you guys are newer out there and it is really hard to get in the game, trust me. I like literally made a few accounts in the past year to just test it out and or like to make content, and yeah, it just feels really bad. It just feels like a chore. Like compared to now when I'm playing late game, I spent way more time in the early game and it's way more fun in the late game because I just do my dailies, I can gear my units, play PvP, whereas in early game I'm just like sweating my ass off trying to get all the catalysts. I have to continuously repeat battles, stare at my phone all the time if I want to min-max. But right now, like if I want to min-max in the late game, like min-maxing for me is just waiting on my sky stones, waiting on my leaves until the hunt event, and then I go ham for like 1 or 2 days. So it just feels bad. And yeah, in conclusion, they're just like saying sorry. I mean, they said sorry like it's like 20% of this like huge manifesto is like literally them saying sorry. But okay. I mean, it's good that they apologize. Like I'm not saying like their response is all bad, right? I actually like a lot of these responses. There's just like a few that stick out to me that I talked about a lot more. So the no nerfs thing. I know a lot of people don't like nerfs because they spend money on the game. I have personally not spent a lot of money on the game, so I wouldn't mind nerfs. And I play a lot of other games, and I know how like nerfs feel. Like nerfs, sometimes you play like for League of Legends, for example, very very easy example. You play against a champion that's super OP. What are you gonna think? Oh, this unit is broken. Please nerf this unit, right? You're not gonna be like, oh mine sucks. Please buff him, right? You just think about nerfs first. So maybe that's why I think like that. But yeah, they also talk about just early game stuff and stories. So all good stuff. Hopefully they stay true to their promise though. That's the most important thing. No one cares about what they said if they don't follow up. So hopefully it's good. I know this is a really long talk, guys, but I think it was kind of needed. Not only just to explain what's happening for you guys, but also for me to vent. So I'm happy you guys listen to me. But I'm gonna try to release these videos more earlier once big discussions like this happen. The reason why I'm late is because I've been busy with my semester recently. But yeah, this pretty much sums up the summary. Basically, you can just only hope, right? So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a very long talk, but if you guys needed something to listen to fall asleep, then hopefully this helped. See you guys next video. Peace.